Hello friends, this is Ryan Hicks of TaughtToProfit.com. Today I want to talk to you about spending money and how the poor spend money. This is another video in the Destroying the Poverty Mentality series. This in particular is a very important thing that many people miss. And this goes all the way to middle class and even some rich people. Especially if they were poor and they get rich, this mentality sometimes never leaves them. And it's that of spending money. Now I want to give you some terms used here to make it understood better. One of spending. We normally say spending and we mean use, but we use the term spend, which actually has a different definition. It means to lay out, to dispose of, to part with, to consume, to waste, to squander, to exhaust. It means something is spent. It's done with, it's gone, it's exhausted. This is why of the prodigal son, Jesus says, and when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land, and he began to be in want. Because he was spending it. It wasn't circulated, it wasn't being used, it was not going to come back to him. And that's why he was in want. And when you look at money that way and you say you're spending your money, you're saying this is gone forever, never coming back to me. When you say use means the act of handling or employing in any manner and for any purpose, but especially for a profitable purpose. This is important. The terms you use, the mentality you have is affected by the terms you use. So when you're using a term that means to exhaust, to be done with, to consume something, you're not expecting that to come back to you. You're expecting it to be gone forever. And it also becomes almost a burden upon you because now this energy of money has been exhausted. It's gone and you'll never get it back. But you're not really spending your money, not if you're thinking about it in the right spiritual way. And the other term is circulate. And it just means to move in a circle, to move or pass round, to move round and return to the same point, to pass from place to place, from person to person, or from hand to hand. This is very similar when Jesus says, give and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, shall men give into your bosom. It all comes back around. It circulates. Stop viewing using your money as spending it, as it being exhausted and gone forever. Now, many people do spend money, they do exhaust it, but we got to change our terms because it affects the way we think about how we're using our money. And also when you're giving, you talk about spending it when you're giving, it creates a mentality that this is exhausted, this isn't coming back to me. Not that you should be giving to get back, but that is what happens. Men will give to you. You give, it'll be given to you. But the poor people, what do? They spend money. When they get money, they spend it. Anytime you get money, you spend it. You get a sudden influx of money, and all of a sudden you have to go buy a new TV or buy a new car or do this or do that. It's always spending money. Now, yes, you shouldn't be just storing it up and saving it for a rainy day or any of those kind of things where you're just not using it. But you should be making your money work for you. And that's what the wealthy do, that the poor never seem to understand. The wealthy will invest their money so it in turn makes them more money. But the poor just go out and spend money. And I use the term spend because it's probably not the best term because it means to expend, to get rid of, when really you're circulating or you're using money for a valuable reason, and it should come back to you. You shouldn't be just pushing out money and never have any more come back to you. But the poor spend money. They don't just use it. They're not circulating it. It's not coming back to them. It's just going out. And anytime they get any new money or unexpected money, you hear it every year around tax time. Well, I'm going to buy this when I get my tax refund. I'm going to do this when I get my tax refund. All the rental stores have all these signs up, we'll do your taxes for free, because they know people will just spend the money. And this is a problem that the poor have to understand and get rid of. If you're going to make a major purchase, I'm not talking about your food and basic things like that. But you're going to make a major purchase, then you need to maybe give yourself a few days to think about it. Because then the initial enjoyment and pleasure and fascination with that item may wear off, and you may realize, I don't really need that. I just went 2 or 3 days without it, and I didn't really need it or think about it much. I don't need that thing. And this can be a valuable tool that you use to have some self-control over how you use your money. And instead of just spending it and getting rid of it every time you get it, just getting rid of money as quick as you get it, you'll have the wisdom to make wise purchases and use your money in a way that is wise and profitable for you and for others around you. There's nothing wrong with using your money. When you go buy a new car, for example, you are helping the salesman that sold it to you, the dealership, the car manufacturer, the people who make the parts that the car manufacturer uses to build the car, the people that make the equipment that makes the parts, the people that make the equipment that puts the cars together. All these things, you are helping a lot of people. And that is a good use of your money. And it goes out and many people are benefited from your purchase. But maybe you don't need that new car. Maybe you don't need a new car at all. My point is not to tell you that you shouldn't use your money at all, but that you need to use it wisely. And just spending it, just throwing it out there, as soon as you get it, you spend it all, and it's gone, it disappears forever, is not the wise way to use your money. I remember as a kid, I know a kid who he got his allowance, is about 6 years old. And the first thing he did was went and bought all this candy and spent all his money. Within a few minutes, it was all gone. And then he was crying because all his money had been gone in no time. It took him a week to earn it, and it was all gone in a few minutes. And he didn't really even enjoy it. And he didn't realize why, because he just had this consumer mentality that he has to spend his money. And if you can get rid of that poverty mentality of spend, 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 every time you get money, you got to spend it. And you can look at money differently, that you're using money, that you're circulating it. It's going to come back to you. That whenever you're using money, it's coming back, more is going to come back to you. And when you are using it, you're using it in a wise way, a way that's the most beneficial and the best thing for you at that particular moment in time. You're not doing it to impress someone else. Many people, like the car scenario I was discussing, they buy a car because they want to impress other people, not because it's what they really like. And I've talked with people that have bought a new car and it's way above what they can really afford, and they're just barely going to be able to get by paying for it. And you ask them, well, why did you buy it if you can barely afford it? And the real reason, when you get past all the why I like this and this is nice, and is they wanted to impress other people. And I want to let you in on something. I've had a number of nice cars over the years. No one cares. After the first few times of your friends and family seeing that nice car, it's just your car then. No one's impressed by it after that. They may think it's nice. They would like it themselves, but they're not impressed with it. And so all you are doing when you're buying a car for that reason is getting 1 or 2 times where somebody is impressed with it, and then that's it. Or you're getting random strangers impressed with it with more higher end luxury cars, Lamborghinis and Bentleys and Rolls Royces and things, where you have people come up to you. You may think that sounds good. That gets old real quickly when you can't even fill up at the gas station without having 5 people bother you about your car. You will not be appreciating that after a while. And all these things are just to get attention. And you need to resolve that issue right at the point where it starts. Why do you want that attention so much that you're going to spend this money, put yourself into debt where you can barely get by, only to impress somebody else that doesn't care? In the end, they don't care. And even if they are impressed a little bit, that goes away real quickly. My friends, buy whatever you want. It's not the point. I'm not telling you don't buy a nice luxury car. What I'm telling you is, why are you? Figure out the reasoning for why you're doing these things. Are you just trying to keep up with other people, have the latest and greatest thing, and it's not what you really want even? I've seen people who are buying clothing, they don't even like what it looks like, but they're doing it because it's the style. My friends, don't live for other people. Don't live for other people's opinions of you. Don't live for other people's vain fads and styles that you don't even like. Why would you waste your money on those kind of things? Your focus should be on living a righteous life, a life that is pleasing to God, a life where you live in a way that is Christ-like. Not to impress other people, not to make them think you have the most money in the world, not to make them think, wow, you sure have a nice car, or you sure have a nice house. There's people with houses that are way larger than they can really afford. They're barely scraping by. They have empty rooms that they don't even use. What would be the point in having places like that, where you don't even use all the space you have? Obviously, that's more than you need. Obviously, you're consuming that upon your own lust, and that doesn't have any good benefit for you. You may need all the space, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not telling you need to live in some hovel and have barely any room to move around. But why are you buying these things? Why, every time you get money, do you have to go spend it? Why are you not using it in wise ways? Why are you not circulating it and having this mentality, this money's going to come back to me? This isn't just being spent. This isn't being thrown away. This is being used wisely, and it will prosper those who I'm using it with, and it's going to come back to me. And they're going to be blessed, and I'm going to be blessed. When you look at wealth in a different way, when you look at money in a different way, where you're not using it as just to get something and for things, but you look at it as blessing other people, that when you're making that purchase, you're blessing someone else, you're blessing those that manufactured the goods, you're blessing those that packaged it, you're blessing those who made the machinery that put this together. You're doing all, when you look at it like that, you realize money is spiritual. Commerce is spiritual. All things we do are spiritual. We're in a physical world that is based on spiritual things. And when you look at it that way, and not this materialistic way, that you're blessing other people, and this money's going to come back to you. This isn't just being spent. This is being used wisely. This is being circulated in a way that's going to come back to you and bless you. And that you are actively blessing other people by using that money. And you're not doing it to try to impress other people. You're not spending because every time you get money, you just have to spend it because you have this consumer mentality. You're using this money wisely in a way that's going to better you, better your family, and better those around you, especially those you're doing business with, to use the money. Those people are going to be blessed by it. And that's the way you should look at it, especially in any kind of business. This will also change your mentality towards other people when you're doing business with them. When you look at it as a spiritual activity, your commerce, you're dealing and doing business with other people, you're going to treat them better. You're not going to look at that money as some sort of material thing you got to cling on to for dear life. You're going to look at it as something to be used, not to be stored up and hoarded away. Like the rich man, when Jesus said, the rich man, he had his grain, he's building new barns to store all he could, and he's going to sit back and relax and retire, basically. And God said, thou fool, your life's going to be required of you this night. The man couldn't even live to enjoy it. And that's what so many people do. Some just spend, and anytime they get any money, it's gone, and others hoard it up and don't even use it at all. And so no one's benefited from it, except for the banks, and they're not really even benefited from it. So really, really seek to renew your mind on this spending mentality, and how you look at money. Are you spending it where the idea is that once it's used, it's gone forever? Or are you using it? Are you circulating it? You're putting it into the economy. You're putting it into other people. You're investing it, and it's going to come back to you. But you're not doing it just randomly, and you're not doing it just to fill some void in your heart that for material goods. You're doing it because this is a useful product for you at this point in time. You're not doing it to impress anyone else. You're not doing it because some friend's going to think you're better than you really are. You're not doing it because it's going to make people think you have more wealth than you really do. You're doing it because it's what you want. It's because it's going to be a blessing to you, and it's going to bless other people when you use your money for that purchase. Change your mentality about money. Money's not a bad thing. Money's not evil. Money's neutral. But money is energy, and there's a spiritual principle behind money and our active use of money. And when you can change your mindset about that, renew your mind about that, and realize that, it will dramatically change how you use money, whether you spend it or use it, and those two terms are different, whether you see it as something that is blessing other people or something that is taking away from you. Because that's the way many people look at using money. They go make a purchase and they look at it as something being taken from me. Instead of, I'm investing in other people, I'm buying their product, I'm giving them this money that is helping them, blessing them, and they're blessing me with this product. When you look at it in a good way, in a spiritual way like that, these things are spiritual. Everything we do is spiritual. Our commerce, our traffic, everything we do is spiritual in nature. And you look for the blessings that you are providing in that activity, it dramatically changes the way you approach money. You don't want to hoard it up anymore. And you don't want to just buy things only to impress other people. People may be impressed with what you buy, that's fine. But are you buying it because it's what you really want, or because you think it's what other people want? My friends, I pray this has been a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.